get it. I've gone through some waves. I got my second Coke going here.
Make sure your mic's on. Alex may have turned it off.
Test.
So your boss went and got another job. What do you think about that?
Roger, opportunity in front of us to keep it going for much longer. I don't know what he's going to do, to be honest with you. He's very focused, though. You know, he seems very, intense, intensively awkward, which is interesting. So that's him. And then, who do we have? Renus, yeah. Or no, we did Renus. And so, who, Pelot?
Hello, like hello.
Pelot. I know nothing about him, except that he was super good in Super Formula, right? Didn't he win the championship?
No, he finished third. He won Rookie of the Year. And he should have won the championship with his car.
Okay, so he'll probably be pretty good. Probably Pelot. Yeah, I'll say him. I mean, he's probably got the most experience of everybody. There you go. There's my assessments of everybody.
I'll let ask you know what you said.
He'll have no emotion, probably. Just, okay.
Kind of reminds me of the young Josef Newgarden.
That's where I was, and I was getting blown up by texts everywhere, and I didn't know what was happening. And I'm serious, it was like 3 a.m. in the morning. They were like, well, we have something to tell you, and here's what's happening. I'm like, where did this come from? Well, could you not have given us a heads up like a week ago or something? I mean, they kept it super tightly sealed. No one knew a thing. I mean, none of us had any idea what was happening, which is hard to do. I don't know how they did that.
Alex just said that, and you mentioned this before, second championship, more appreciative than the first. You kind of get it more.
Yeah,
You still feel that way?
Yeah, I think you have more perspective every year, whether that's at the Speedway or it's in the IndyCar series itself. You know what it takes. I think I was having a conversation with some friends a couple days ago, and I was talking about, every year when we start back up after a little break in the off season, I always have a moment where I re-ask myself, are you ready to go? Do you think you can put together a full year again? Because it honestly takes a tremendous amount of effort and a tremendous amount of energy just to put a full season together, let alone just the compact schedule of the month of May. That's its own challenge. But then you think about the entire year. I mean, it's very exhausting, and it takes a lot. You got to put everything into it. So I have that reset period right before the season starts where I wonder if I'm, really ready to do that again, to mount a challenge. And I'm starting to get that way right now. I'm excited to get on track this week because I think it'll be good for me to, just feel my energy again and know what it's going to take to, go to St. Pete and start with a good starting point like last year.
Questions? Bruce?
I believe Dario was the last back-to-back series champion, so, that's kind of a goal out there that Scott Dixon says he always wanted, was to go back-to-back. How big would that be for you?
I'll take them any way we can get it. If we've got to do year on, year off, I don't mind that. I mean, if that's the deal I got to make, then no problem. But yeah, back-to-back would be great. Last year I thought I'm sorry, I should say 2018. I thought, after 17, I thought 18 was really good. We didn't drop off much. We just could not convert on race weekends. That was our big problem, was just converting results. And last year, that was our bread and butter, was we could just convert. We would figure out a way to turn, fifth place into a third place, or turn a second into a win, or turn a win into a win. And sometimes we would struggle to do that in 18. So if we can just, keep doing what we've been doing, I think we have the speed every year. I think we've had the sort of the strategy right every year. It's just sometimes our execution has dropped, and certainly there's some mistakes and bumps in there. Last year I had a couple mistakes myself, so you're always looking to clean that up. But if we can do relatively the same stuff as last season, I don't know why we can't go back to back. Steve Woodage.
If you can only win one.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I was confusing. It was like, just comment. Steve, good to see you. You look great.
Thanks. You look great too.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, you're good. You can only win one, the 500 or a third championship.
Oh, 500. No doubt. It's, it's the hardest. Everyone knows this is the hardest thing to win. I've come to peace with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, though, in that I just think that place does not owe you anything. I don't think it cares, how many races you won. It doesn't care how fast you are that month of May. It doesn't care how many championships you have. It just doesn't owe you anything. So if it never happens, it never happens. And I think I'm you'd say maybe that's relatively early in a career to make that, assessment. But for me, I think that's how this place works. Michael never wanted that place, and he probably should have multiple times. So it's one of those tricky places that sometimes it doesn't work out for anybody, and sometimes it works out 4 times for a person. So we'll see. I do the thing every year, prep the same. I think the key is to put yourself in position at the end of the race to win that year, or to win the race every year, and then hopefully one of those years it just converts. That's all you can really do.
Paul Kelly?
Follow up to what Steve said, but at what point, especially knowing that as a Penske driver, winning the 500 it's important for everybody, but for your team, it's really important. At some point, does it morph from being a race you really want to win to something you obsess over, like, man, I gotta win this race?
Maybe it does turn into that. It hasn't for me yet. Like I said, I feel like I've just gotten to a point where I'm like kind of comfortable with the fact that, maybe you'll never win this race. But I'm also open to the fact that maybe we'll win it 5 years in a row. That would be cool. I think it's possible, but at the same time, it may never happen. So you show up every year, do the same job. I don't think you can overthink it, or I should say, you shouldn't overthink it. Your mentality should not be to overthink it when you show up. So obsessing might lead to that. I think you just gotta work on your process, and if you have a good process, then for me, it's showing up, making a good race car that goes all the way to the end, fighting to stay up in the front group, get to lap 170, put yourself in position, and then have the final shootout. That's really what that place turns into. What's gotten tough at Indy is it used to be, you didn't have to work that. If you had a fast car, you didn't have to work that hard to stay up front and put yourself in a position at the end. Nowadays, you have to really work hard to stay up front. I mean, it's so competitive now that you're fighting all race long just to position yourself at the end. And so the positioning at the end is critical, but it's not a given if you have a fast car. Like, you have to fight to stay up there. And I think that's kind of, for me, how the race has morphed over the last 6 or 8 years. But yeah, I don't obsess over it yet. It is paramount at our team, but you can only do so much, and hopefully that place chooses you one day.
What factors allowed you to convert so much last year, as you said, get better results than you may have expected sometimes?
Yeah, it's just the details. I mean, it's funny because some of these races, people were like, well, how the heck did you win that race, or where did he come from? And for me, it's like really simple. If you look at the data, it's really clear how we won our races. And we just execute so supremely well, which gets me excited. I know I have a group around me that's good on strategy, they're good on pit stops, and they know the right time to make the right move. And when you give me the right car, and I know what's going on, then I'm gonna make the right things happen at the right time, in and out laps, when to use push to pass. I mean, there's just all these little details, when should you push, when should you not, how to use the tires. I think it comes down to some inherent race speed, which we had last year, and then it comes to good strategy calls. Tim was right on it every time. We never missed a beat. The pit crew was on it every single. I think we got probably 4 or 5, fastest pit stops of the race. The cumulative. So it's just the details. Those all have to line up. You can't make one mistake. You make one little mistake, puts you back at the wrong point, you lose the race. So everything's just got to fall on the line, and I think we have the details really sorted out.
From the outside, Scott McLaughlin's test at Sebring was humorous to those on the outside, because the 3 of you all showed up like you were protecting your chair. You know how that looked, don't you?
Did it look that way? Honestly, I think we were just like, can we drive too? Like, just a little bit?
That's not what it looked like. It looked like 3 guys, but in all seriousness, Scott's going to be an interesting development to the team over the season, whatever that looks like. His energy that he brought even into this room earlier today, he looks like somebody whose experience and success will be a good boost for the series.
Yeah, I think, well, first off, he's more than deserved it, right? It's great I love seeing people get opportunities that deserve it, and Scott's done the job. He's been masterful in the Supercar Series, so how could you not, give him an opportunity, especially one that he wants. What I found fascinating and quite cool was the fact that he not only wants to come and race in North America, but he wanted to race Indy cars. You know, he's got other series. He could have gone to NASCAR. I mean, he could have done sports car stuff, but he was like, no, I want to drive Indy cars. And I just think that's awesome. I think it's really cool that was his first choice. And like I said, he deserves it. He's done the job. I think he's going to be pretty quick. I don't know how much we can expect. I was just talking to David about this the other week, but I don't know how much you can expect of him in one race. You know, I personally, I think if he top tens, that's a big achievement. I mean, it's really hard to learn all the little nuances of IndyCar racing in just one event. So he's got a big, tall order in front of him, but I think he'll do a great job. I really think he's going to soak it up and be fast and do good.
Last one, appropriately, we'll take two, since David's way in the back. From Joey.
I know that you kind of touched on winning the Indy 500, but I got to imagine there is some pressure to maybe win this year just because Roger, this is his first official ownership for the 500, and maybe the pressure's on him to deliver for him.
I don't think it changes. You know, I think Roger, look, I can't speak for Roger because I don't know, but knowing Roger, I think he'll take a step back from the team side and he will be much more overall. You know, I think Roger's passion and legacy will be about preserving the tradition and the integrity of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's the place that Roger loves the most. It's what built his career in motorsports and in business. So I think for him, it's a big year for success for the Speedway. Not just I think for him it will change. I think it will change in that, you know, it's not necessarily just important for his team to win. I mean, he's already done that. He's the titan of the sport when it comes to winning an Indy. But now how can he help Indianapolis more so on a global scale than just his team? So I think for me as a driver, it doesn't change, but probably more so for Roger than in years past. David?
You've obviously now reached a stage where you're getting into your 9th season and you've won 2 championships. Have you gotten to the age where rookies are coming to you for advice yet? So that's the first part of my question. And the second part is, we've got so many really good rookies this year. Who do you tip to win Rookie of the Year?
Ooh,
That's a question.
I love that. A little bit on the first part.
Yeah.
I'm starting to notice it a little bit. Particularly with like Renus, for instance. You know, he's a very kind young man and seems to, you know, any information's good. And he's just enthusiastic and wants to be better. And I love seeing that. This reminds me of how I was and still try to be. But yeah, I think so. A little bit from the advice standpoint, not a ton, you know, which I think is good. You don't want that yet, right? I don't want to be viewed as like the old guy. And then, yeah, for the second part, tough to say. What do we have? We have Askew, Pato, and Renus. Is that? Oh, Alex, right?
Yeah.
Is it Pillow?
Pillow.
Alex Pillow.
Not Pato.
Got it.
He did
Yeah,
it
Pado's
seven,
not
eight years ago.
classified as a rookie.
Oh, what a tragedy. I'd have put all my money on Pato if it was him. So,
Oh, okay.
And now we've got Nazar and the Camara coming in.
Really? like some one-offs?
They're sharing the car.
Oh, in Carlin?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm learning in this room. If you're excluding a Ward, I think Renus is going to tear too much stuff up. Personally, I mean, I think he's going to be fast, but it's going to take some time. So but don't take it wrong. He's going to be fast. But I think he's going to probably have to learn some lessons. Ask you, hard to say with him.